To 50 million. Got kind of a sad picture behind me, and that's because today's topic is another struggle that we face on the road to achievement. I'm calling it my road to 50 million, but it's something I run into a lot as a coach. And the topic is addiction. And it's going to be way different than you think. So if you hear that and you say, okay, fine, I'm not an addict, so I'm going to turn this off. That's not what I'm talking about. It can include that. You know, I've been there too. And if you follow the story, you know that I had terrible addiction problems with a number of substances for many years. And that all ended in 2007. And that was where my life completely changed, and that's been 15 years now. But that was on the end of 35 years of riding the roller coaster of addiction and other terrible things. The reason that I mention these is because so often I do these videos of encouragement, and it can sound like, well, yeah, Kellan, you don't have any problems, you don't get it, you don't understand how hard it is, you don't understand how bad it feels and how much of this and everything else. And I, in no way, not for 1 minute, am I angry at my past? I wouldn't change a minute. Not any of the terrible things that I've been through. They're not even terrible. I wouldn't call them terrible. At the time, they seemed terrible. Addiction and depression and dying and suicide attempts and a bunch of other things. But I wouldn't call them terrible. Not even 1 minute. I wouldn't change any of it. Not angry at anyone. One of the things in my personal truth statement you've heard me talk about before is I am forgiveness. I hold no anger, bitterness, or judgment toward anyone for anything, including myself. That's a powerful place to be. And it took a lot of work and clawing and crawling and soul searching and, you know, processing and coaching and therapy and other things to get there. But I live now completely free of all that, and no new stuff happens. I just don't carry it anymore. So today I want to talk about addictions. And we'll start with the really obvious ones. There's substances of all kinds. I just saw an advertisement on television yesterday, and I don't really know what it is, but it's a series or a movie called American Pain. And I think it's about the exploding epidemic of pain meds, principally fentanyl, I think. I didn't watch even the commercial enough to know for sure, but I think it's about the explosion of those kinds of pain meds, opiates particularly, that are killing so many people, so many thousands and thousands and even tens of thousands of people every year in the U.S. And I'm sure in other countries too, that this particular thing was focused on American pain, but Americans don't have any monopoly on pain. And I live in Canada now, and my wife and I are both dual national and have been back and forth. But I have been through periods of terrible addiction in my life. If you've heard the story, you know that there was a time when I was a $3,000 a week cocaine addict. And that's ridiculous, and I wasted obscene amounts of money and caused terrible pain for a lot of people, including myself, wrecked my body, my nose, and the inside of my head, and everything else. And that wasn't the only substance. There were many, and it was long and ugly. The thing I want to talk about more than anything isn't the substance itself. The substance itself, or the behavior, and addiction is just a compulsive, not just, it is a compulsive coping behavior without which we seem to get lost, right? There's shopping addictions and eating and television and porn and drugs and alcohol and 100 other destructive or non-productive behaviors that we turn to. And so if my goal, the road to 50 million, is about helping you, 50 million people, to discover and serve with your divine gifts. Now, one thing I know from my near-death experience, and if you haven't read that book, it might be interesting, it's called Meeting God at the Door. And it looks like this: Meeting God at the Door. Conversations, choices, and commitments of a near-death experience. And here's what I know. What I know from those conversations is that you're a divine being. We all are. I know that you have gifts and talents. We all do. I know that we were lovingly given those with mission and purpose here that we not only agreed to, but we were excited about. And that I know that all the help we need is available from both sides of what I call that door, which is the door into eternity. And so often the question comes up, well, why is it so freaking hard? Why isn't it just a handout? Here's all the money, opportunity, position, everything you need. Well, it doesn't work like that. And do you know that? And I know it. And the funny thing is you can see it when people win tremendous prizes and lotteries and everything. I saw the other day somebody won a $1.4 billion lottery. Study after study, following those folks, finds most of them, nearly all of them, are broke or worse off or whatever in just a few years. So having things handed to us isn't the way that it works to have purpose, prosperity, and joy. And so this road to 50 million for me is about helping 50 million people to discover their own divine talents and then make a choice to serve with them. That's the way to be happy. Discover your talents and make a conscious effort to serve. Love and serve others with your gifts and talents. That's it. It means love yourself. It means go on a search for your gifts. It means start serving right now. And everybody seems to, not everybody, lots and lots focus so quickly on business. Does it make money, 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 money? I need money. That is a byproduct of love and service. It really is. And I know that sounds hokey and woo to some people, but it's true. And that's the thing. It is a true principle. If you choose to serve, Zig Ziglar, famous salesperson, he said you can have something like this. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. He said, you can have anything you want if you help enough other people get what they want. Well, what is that? That's service. If you go and serve others, you will get what you want. Now, one of the things that we do so often is we expect that we get to dictate the terms. So I do something for somebody, and I expect that the universe is just going to do a dance and give me what I want right here, right now. What's wrong? How come it takes so long? Well, I didn't make the rules. So anyway, this isn't about that. This is about addictions and the role that they play in keeping us from reaching our ultimate life. Compulsive behavior and the role that all that plays in keeping us from getting to our ultimate life. So let's move past for a moment obvious behaviors, gambling, eating, addiction, substances, prescription meds, porn, whatever it is. Let's skip all past about the names and substances, and let's talk about stories. The worst addictions that I've seen in myself and others isn't even the substances. It might manifest in substances, but the worst addictions are to the stories we have, the labels we have adopted for ourselves. So maybe you were labeled lazy, stupid, never get this done, never amount to anything, a bunch of stuff in the past. If you own that label, that addiction is worse than any substance you could possibly be addicted to. Because that story label will keep you from improving. It will keep you from realizing that you have power to create your life on a slow trajectory, on a fast trajectory, but you have the levers. You have power. And so if I stay married to my stories, married to my weakness, arguing for my limitations, there's a whole bunch of ways that idea gets expressed. If I furiously argue for my limitations over and over and over and over again, and I just am sure I can never make it, never do it, not good enough, too late, if I'm addicted to that, that's worse than any substance. Sometimes it leads to that because when I get addicted to the stories, I'm never good enough, I won't do this, won't do that, then who cares, let's just go party and do this, that, and the other, doesn't matter anyway, who cares? And so one might lead to the other. But the terrible addictions I want to talk about are, let's start with one, the idea that you're worthless. That's just not true. You may not be where you want to be right now. You may be struggling or have failed a bunch of times in anything, and I'm talking in generalities because I don't know. I did that so many times. I still fail. You know what failure is? It's nothing. It's an IDP, interesting data point. That's what I call it. Interesting data point. That's it. Failing at something is simply not getting the outcome you wanted. Okay. I mean, we've all heard the story about Edison and his 1,000, and some people say 10,000. I don't know. Boatload, 1,000, let's say, 1,000 efforts at making a bulb. Well, he didn't quit. If he had quit, it would have been somebody else that discovered it, right? He did it. He did it because he stuck with it, because he knew, he could see, he could believe that it was something. But he failed a bunch of times, and if he had been addicted to his story, oh, I can't do it, it'll never work, oh, I'm going to go broke, which he did, then it never would have happened. So the question for me and you here on the road to 50 million is, what addictions are there in your life? Now, if there's some really obvious ones, then, that's time to go get some help. Talk to a shrink, get to the right kind of support group or whatever. They're available. They're everywhere. The thing that will keep them from working is the story. It doesn't do any good. Won't matter. I've tried this 50 times. Broke. No. That is the real problem. What I finally discovered in my whole journey through this whole thing, through every substance I could get my hands on, it didn't matter what the substance was, as long as it was numbing, and I could have a lot of it, right? So I could end the pain. The real addiction that I had was to self-loathing. I needed to hate myself. We're going to talk about that in another episode. But your invitation right now is to say this. Ask this question. Are you moving at the trajectory and speed you want? Is your life growing, improving? Are you excited every day? Are you living and loving the life you have? Yes or no? It's really simple. You know the answer right out of the box. If someone looked me in the eyes and asked me that question, my answer is absolutely. I love every single day. I wake up every morning, including this morning, excited, on fire. Can't wait for the day. I look my calendar over, what I got to do, who I'm going to talk to. Today was Sunday. I went to church. I got to play the organ, and I also got to sing a song as part of a special musical number. Ooh, that was fun. But it took many, many, many hours of work in the last week to get it ready and to do a good job for them. But whatever I had to do, I was excited. I am excited. And so I live that life of purpose, prosperity, and joy, and excitement every day. So question number one, are you excited about your life? Do you love it? And if the answer is no, or not really, or only sometimes, that's okay. You start where you are. The thing I want to give you the most encouragement about right this minute is you can have a life where you love every day. You can have that. And the addiction part comes in where you believe you can't. You're addicted to the story that that's for somebody else, that it won't work, that your circumstances or problems or whatever, that means that you'll never get there, right? Addiction to that story is the worst kind because it leads to stagnation. It leads to living in what I call the land of suck, right? And it can also lead to other physical things. My commitment is to help 50 million people to discover their talents and to serve with them. That could include creating business and a bunch of other things if you want to. It's not required. Some people do, some people don't. But I can tell you, purpose, prosperity, and joy is on the other side of discovering your talents and choosing to live in love and service every minute. And you can think I'm a whack job if you want, but it's still true, and you can still have it. If I can help you get to that place to create the kind of purpose, prosperity, and joy that you want, I'm all in. Please, let's talk. We'll see you tomorrow on the road to 50 million.